Welcome to the IOL Sports Show. This is Zaahier Adams here with you today, and we have a fantastic guest. It's Springbok Women's rugby player, Zinhle Ndawonde. And as you can see, she is a firefighter. She's come to our interview in uniform, all dressed for the... Welcome, Zinhle. How are you doing?
Hi, Zaahier Adams. Thank you for having me on the show. I'm great. How are you guys doing?
We're very well, thank you. It's fantastic to have you with us. We do know that as firefighters go, if the bells go, you need to go. Is that correct?
I won't even say a word. You just see me popping up, then you know something is happening.
That is the speed of a Springbok center as they hear the bells on the mark and they through that gap. Essentially, I'm gonna jump straight in. I'm gonna give you a high tackle. I'm coming in with a high tackle first, straight up. It is you of the township that you grew up in. You've spoken about how tough it was. You've spoken about how you've got into rugby in terms of wanting to steer clear of the dangers that is there. But right now, you have your face on a bus. I mean, how is that? Did you ever imagine that you would have your face on a bus coming from where you did?
No, never. It's not just the bus. It's also billboards. I've seen people sending me pictures of billboards in Pretoria. One of my friends was sending me one just now this morning here in Durban and N2. I mean, it's amazing. It's heartwarming. Sometimes when I think about it and I see myself, I feel like crying because as a young girl growing up at Ina and the circumstances around me, I never really, to be honest, I never really imagined myself seeing myself in the bus or in those billboards, even though I've always had a dream to be a professional rugby player, to inspire young ladies, not just to play, but one of my biggest dreams is not just to be an athlete, but to also inspire, especially the young, not just the girls, but the young generation that's coming up, that's also living in circumstances where they thought it could never be possible. I know at this weekend we had a possible campaign where each and every athlete, even DJs were there, people were telling their stories, how they grew up, how they thought nothing was ever possible in life. But when we were sitting there and everyone was sharing each and every one of their stories, you could listen where they come from. You could listen that it came from the heart. It's like a dream come true where everyone is now. It's a place where they thought they could never be. And I said to myself this weekend, like how I see that the impossibilities of when you are young and you think you can never make it in life, for me, I told them that impossible just means seeing beyond the impossible, seeing beyond what people thought that you could never achieve in life, exceeding your limitations, going beyond what you thought you could never go over. It has been quite a tough journey for me, but having seen the billboards and I still can't believe it even now when I go past one, I look at myself and I'm like, oh my gosh, is that me? But at a young age, you feel you can never be anything. But once it happens, you realize that there's so many possibilities in life that you as a person can always create for yourself, because I never had anything. I wanted to aspire to be a Springbok rugby player, to be a Springbok women rugby player, professional player, but I never had the equipment to be on. I never have gym access. I never had anything, but I made possibilities. I created possibilities and opportunities for me to happen where I didn't make an excuse to say, okay, I don't have gym, so I can't do anything. I tried to utilize whatever that I had, where I just did push-ups. I went and jogged and did something for myself. We created opportunities and possibilities for me. And hence why you see the hard work that has been put in.
No, Zinhle, that's amazing. I'm listening to you and that energy and that that excitement. It's rubbing off on me. I feel like I want to go out there and run, because I mean we all come from different places, and I mean the only buses that we saw when we were growing up were golden arrow buses. You know what I mean? And now we with your face on. But essentially, I've also following your career and you're in uniform. How do you manage being a Springbok rugby player and a firefighter. It's not like you sit behind the office and typing out a few emails. You know what I mean? So how do you balance the two?
Yeah, it's not really bad for me, or it's not difficult. Yes, like I can tell you now, coming from a game that we played this weekend, when we haven't played for quite a long time due to COVID. So I'm super exhausted as I'm here, but I'm at work, so I need to make sure that I do my duties. Whatever training they're doing, I need to do it. But the nice thing about rugby and firefighting is that they both have the same sentiments. So for me, it's never difficult to actually adapt in any way, because I always tell people when I'm at work, I have a gym program that I follow from the Springbok team. So I have enough space for me to work around, where I just do my training session. I come in the morning usually, I check the vehicle, and I see what my duties are for the day. And I put in my first session. I look at the program, I do my session. After I'm done with session, I know there's definitely going to be training for firefighting as well. So I slotted it in. So they have the same sentiment in a way that they both require you to be fit physically and mentally. And obviously, they teach you how to be a team. They teach you how to be a family, because when going to a fire, I always tell people you could never go into a fire alone. You always have to have a partner. So that teaches you that you need each other. Same as rugby, you always need to work together for you guys to actually win or score even a try. So they have the both sentiments in such a way that I never really thought, or growing up, I never really wanted to be a firefighter. But at first, I took up the job because I needed it. I was playing rugby, finished school, studied sport management, finished school, but didn't have a job, couldn't find a job. So I said, okay, I need a job so that I can sustain my family and myself as well. Got into firefighting, went through the training. At first, came with the mentality that I just need money to look after my family. But once I got into the whole training, once I got into the whole phase and scenarios where you get into, you go to work, you get called up, there's a vehicle crash and you are there. The person that is stuck in the vehicle actually requires you to help them. And the feeling of leaving work 6 p.m. in the evening, knowing that there was someone who relied on you to actually save them, and you are actually there to save that person. You gave that person hope. It gives you goosebumps. It gives you the feeling, the sense of saying, this is what I like doing. I like helping people. This is what I love doing. I'm that physical person type of thing. So it's always great for me to be on the rugby ground or on the firefighting ground. So I'm forever game.
Forever game. Usually I listened to you and you spoke about being a team and wanting, and when you approach a fire. So this is the question that I want to ask you. When you see a blazing fire and a house is burning, I mean, it takes a special kind of person to run into that fire. So what goes through your mind? I mean, other people run the other way. You run into it.
Yeah, it's quite hectic, but the thing is, we get taught a lot of things about firefighting, how to approach fire, what to do, the do's and don'ts. So it's okay for you guys to run off because you guys don't know what to do when the fire comes. But for us, because we are trained to approach the fire, how to approach the fire, the type of meter that you use in order to extinguish the fire. So we know all of these things. As much as sometimes when you go into a fire, you think, oh my gosh, especially if the flames are like, oh, wow, you think, okay, this is good. But it's always good, I would say, or the best thing is that you should always be calm, because once you start panicking as a firefighter, it's like when the bells drop, I've adapted this thing to calm myself down. When the bells drop, I just scream and say, yay, this is what we are here for, and run as I run to the fire truck, I'm screaming because I'm trying to calm myself down, but also get in that sense of saying, okay, now it's getting real, just to activate myself so I know that, okay, I'm calm and everything. And the nice thing is that everyone around the station has actually adapted that, because it's very difficult as a firefighter to go inside the fire and you are panicking, because as you panic, you start doing the wrong things. You start not focusing on what you have to do, and then you start mumbling. But if you are calm enough and you know what to do, and you think, okay, there's fire. What fire is it? What do I need to do? What extinction measure do I need to do? Then it becomes much, much easier. It also teaches you to be patient as well, and not just on when approaching fire, but even on the rugby field, when things don't go your way, you don't now panic and say, hey, but you calm down and think, okay, we're not winning. What else can we do? How can we attack this team? How can we get over into their 22? They actually go hand in hand for me.
But that's exactly what I wanted to ask you. So when you see a big lock and a big prop in front of you, that's no concern to you. It's like, this is nothing in front of me. I can sidestep, I can go around them. I've been through worse, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. But look, if the big lock or a prop comes to you, she's definitely going to face you. If she says, I'm going there, and you see her coming to you, she's coming to you. So change your mindset, better get ready, know that there's only one thing to do. You just need to tackle the person and get up. Yeah. Sometimes it is scary because we have such big girls, but I mean, I enjoy doing that. I enjoy tackling. It's even better tackling someone bigger than the smaller person, because those small ones, they can run. They actually come to you and they step you a bit and then they get away with it. But with the big girls, it's okay. You just go to them, you tackle them, and you can lie on them there. Make sure that you
Zinhle, again, I'm feeling the energy. I'm feeling the confidence. I've seen on your Instagram accounts, your social media accounts, definitely a confident person, definitely somebody that, that accepts these challenges. Have you always felt like that? Or has there been a time in your career where you thought, maybe I'm not cut out for this. Maybe there's doubts coming into, can I actually make it as a Springbok?
Yes, at first, I remember I was called in quite a few Springbok camps, especially when they went to the 2014 World Cup, where I didn't make the team. That's when I went back home and sat down and asked myself, where do I want to be in life? What do I want to do? I want to be a Springbok player, but I haven't met the team. So what is it that I'm not doing right? Or what is it that I need to do in order for me to actually be part of the team? So one thing I told myself that I will do is I will start living like a Springbok when I was not one. So I started acting like a Springbok player when I was not one. I went to the senior players that were in the Springbok team. I asked them, what is required for me to be part of the team? Okay, you obviously have to be disciplined. You need to be this height. You need to eat right. You need to make sure, And I went back home and I said, okay, I need to change, firstly, the friends that I hang around with. I didn't have bad friends, but I just had friends, some of them that were not rugby players. So I needed to move and be with the friends that had the same vision or had the same goals as me. I needed not to just get on the rugby field when it's training time, but I needed to work before I could get in the field. I knew I couldn't pass, my left pass was weaker. So I knew that I needed to work twice as hard. I need to get to the field before everyone else got there. So I started implementing all these things. I started eating right. I started hanging with the same people that had the same vision, the same goals as me. And that's when I started seeing the difference. That's when I started getting calls up to the Springbok Women's teams. That's when I started getting calls up to the Springbok Women's Sevens. And that just shows you that it all takes you actually determine where you want your life to be. It's all up to you. You either make or break yourself. Because after having done that, made that decision, and I started implementing all those things, then everything just started brightening up, calls up and everything. And also one thing that really has taught me never to give up, or has always been the center of my strength, is the fact that I was just a young girl who was raised by a single parent who was working as a domestic worker. She wasn't earning much. She would leave us, me and my sister, from Monday to Friday, and she would leave us alone in an environment where a lot of girls were getting pregnant, taking drugs and everything. But she would pray that we are okay. She would pray that nothing happens to us, she didn't have much, but she never gave up on us. So she's one of the person I also draw strength from when I start running in the fields and I feel like, oh my gosh, I can't carry on anymore. But I had a mother who didn't have anything. She could have just left us there and said, I cannot take care of you babies. So for me to disappoint you, I'd rather just let you guys go or leave us there. But she didn't. She with the little that she had, she made sure that we were okay. She even showed us a pay slip. That was so funny when first she'd come and say, this is what I got. It was peanuts, but we could survive from there. And she said, I will use this. Whatever I have, I will spend it with you guys. It doesn't matter. And every time where I feel like I'm under pressure, there's fire, and I feel like giving up, I just draw my strength from her to say, listen, there's no reason I could ever give up. When I had a mother who had nothing but promised to never give up, she made sure that she did every little thing that she did for us. And that has been one of my strengths every time I feel like giving up or I feel like I'm dying at training sessions, you know. So she's also been part of my, I'd say, life.
No, 100%. Our mothers are our rocks. That's we rely on. I'm sure the Mother's Day present last Sunday was a big one. That must have been a really big one.
Yeah, it was.
The celebration. So you play Springbok 15s and you play Springbok 7s. Which one do you enjoy them more?
I would go with 15s. Sevens is okay. Besides the fact that you run a lot, not that I don't like running. You have to run anyways. Yes, I don't think everybody likes running. We like playing, but we don't like training, especially when it's conditioning and tough situations. But those things are there to actually make us to prepare us for tournaments and to prepare us to be able to play a whole full game. But with 15s, I would say when I started playing rugby, I grew up playing 15s, played 15s more than 7s, and also the vibe around the 15s if you see some of the videos when we are together as girls and we're there and we are singing, because there's many of us, and when we come together from different provinces, different cultures coming together, you know, and just having that feeling, especially after the game where we sing, then you realize that, oh wow, these are different cultures coming together. We are African. We are united. So we have that sense of family unity when we come together with the 15s.
Zinhle, as you said earlier, the women's game resumed this past weekend for the first time since COVID. They are being live streamed on SuperSport now. I mean, how exciting is that to see the South Sea Sharks against the Elephants last weekend?
Yeah, we did lose to the Elephants. We lost 5-13. Not too bad. I mean, it's the first game after a year. We haven't played it due to COVID, but yeah, we'll get there. The live streaming, it's amazing. It's something that we've been looking for. It's something that we've been, as women especially, wanting to see, especially going towards the World Cup as well, because nobody, if the games are not being broadcast or we are not publicizing with women's rugby or women's sport in any ways, then the young girls that are in rural areas that want to be like Babalala Chaz and Zinhle Ndawonde then cannot see what is rugby. But if you have these games being played on SuperSport, being live streamed, then we are able to target those young girls who actually thought they could never be rugby players. But once they see that, there's Zinhle on TV, then they start saying, oh wow, I used to stay with Zinhle, she used to stay here. So it's possible for me to actually make it as well. And that's what we want, because that's how you target the young generation, because we need them. They are the future. Because we're getting old. We want to leave rugby soon. So we need to make sure that we have young girls coming in and we are an example to them. So we are really, really excited about the games being live streamed and being broadcasted. I mean, it's going to make a huge difference, especially going towards the World Cup.
So young girls are no longer going to buy data to make TikTok videos. They're going to buy data to watch Zinhle.
gonna be WhatsApp now. They're gonna wanna watch the games that are playing on TV and being live streamed.
100%. So, essentially, you speak about the preparation for the World Cup. How important is this competition, the women's competition, in the build-up to? I mean, everything is geared to that New Zealand 2022. We know it was meant to be this year, but obviously due to COVID, everything has changed. But building up to New Zealand next year.
Yeah, it's very vital because we still have more games that we are going to play against the international teams, obviously, after the IPL, of which is great, because that's where we need to see where we are as South Africans. What do we need to improve on? What can we do better? Where we are in terms of their standards? Because remember, they have been playing for quite some time. They've played quite a few Rugby World Cups, and they play Six Nations and all of that. And we haven't played all of that. So we need game time in them so that we assess where we are and what we need to improve them to improve as a team. But also these games are a part of preparations, because we haven't had so much game time. So we do need a bit of fitness. We do need to the coaches also need to see the type of standard that we are on as players, as individuals, and also as a team, so that when we meet again end of July after the Premier Division, we know where we are, and we know how to actually prepare for our games.
Essentially, tell us about going to New Zealand specifically, the home of rugby. How does that feel, knowing that that's on the cards? And the fact that, I mean, in reality, they've been playing with crowds in their stadiums already, just to play in front of people again. I mean, what will that be like?
Yeah, that's really, really exciting. Obviously, I know a lot of teams will be under pressure because New Zealand is playing at home, so they're going to have more crowd, and they're going to have more support. But look, we just going there to play rugby. We are not going there firstly to add numbers. We are not going there just to play. We want to go there and leave a name to say South African women, Springbok Women are here. There's rugby in South Africa, and we play to compete. We play because we want to play and we want to win. And obviously the crowd. I think the last time I played in a big crowd was in Hong Kong. Also in San Francisco when we played the Sevens Rugby World Cup. I mean, it's the whole atmosphere is amazing. Sometimes you can't even hear yourself on the field because everyone is just shouting. It really is exciting but distracting at the same time. It's just that as a player, you just need to know where you are, be in the moment, be in the space, and just do what you are there to do. Keep the main thing the main thing.
And essentially, when you look at the success of the Proteas women's team, the cricket side, do you guys draw energy from that? Do you celebrate their successes? Do you guys talk to each other of how, this is what we do, this is how you guys go about it? Is there that camaraderie amongst the different sports codes amongst the girls?
Yeah, we do. I had a chat with Laura this weekend when we were here for the Impossible campaign.
The 3 strikes one, isn't it?
Yeah, it's like with soccer as well. We are still not in the same. It's not the same. It's just not in the same level. Remember that they have. I think what she said was that they have contracts, and some of our players we don't have contracts. We are in the national team, but don't have contracts. No, for example, like me, because I have a job, obviously. And then we have players that are still at school. Some of them are studying online. So that's fine for them to actually have contracts because they're not doing anything. But it would be great for everyone. And that's what Saru, I think, is trying to do, where everyone is contracted. And then we are able to be like the guys where we just focus on rugby, because that's what we've been dreaming about when we're growing up, to be rugby players, to be professional players, like how New Zealand is. But it's just the syndrome we faced around South Africa, because it's not just rugby, it's soccer, it's other sporting codes as well that are male dominated. So we have been fighting, but there's much, much bigger improvement, because you can see now there's ladies that are starting to get contracts, which means we are getting there. It's just that, you know how Rome was never built overnight. So hopefully going to get there, but there's much, much bigger improvement, and we're hoping that things get much, much better as time goes.
Zinhle, I'm going to wrap it up here. You've been fantastic. The final question I'm going to ask you is, you've got a boy from Cape Town now down in Durban. He's down there. Zaahier Kolisi, the Springbok captain.
Oh, yes.
You know, he's with the Sharks. He's now part of your Sharks family. I've seen you bump into him a couple of times. What are the conversations with Zaahier Kolisi? Do you draw any inspiration from that man?
Oh, the first one is that impossible is nothing. I mean, I sat on Saturday listening, on Wednesday, on the campaign, listening to Zaahier Kolisi's story and listening to just every athlete and everybody that was there. You know, we all come from some situation. We all come from somewhere where we thought things were just never going to happen. But he's that, when you see him doing interviews, I laughed at him, because when you see him doing interviews, he's so serious. But when you sit with him like this, he's such a humble guy. He's crazy, but he also, the one thing I like about him is that he likes to see women's rugby growing. He came to our game this Saturday. He said, I want to come and wish you guys luck, because you guys are also Sharks women team. So we are family. So I just want to come there and give a bit of speech to wish you guys luck. And that's what he wants. It's amazing, because when you look at him, he's a Springbok captain, winning obviously World Cup captain. So we draw a lot of strength from him. We draw a lot of energy from him, because he's an icon. He's an inspiration to everyone, to all, not just athletes, but everyone around the country.
Zinhle, thank you for your time. I'm sure that Zaahier will have a word with the Rock Nation family soon and get joined up. Thank you very much for your time. It's been a fantastic interview. We love the energy, and we wish you all the best, and stay safe when you go into those finals, because we need you out of the rugby field. So thank you very much for your time, Zinhle, and all the best going forward.
Thank you so much, Zaahier, and thank you for having me.